everyone, Kelly here, and I want to talk about the books that I have bought or gotten as gifts in the last about 6 months, I think, since my last book haul. I will just say that I already filmed half of this without realizing that I hadn't pushed the record button. So I probably will be moving through the first half kind of quickly because I will feel like I have already talked about them. But anyways, a lot of these came from local bookstores, so that was great, and some are birthday books, so let's just get into it, because I actually bought more than I was planning to over the last 6 months, but like I said, I like to go into my local bookstores, pick up things, and I had my birthday, so it is what it is. I am excited about all these, so let's just get started. So the first one is Counting to Scent by Clint Smith. This is a collection of poetry. Clint Smith wrote the nonfiction book, How the Word Is Passed, which was one of my favorite books like 3 years ago, or whenever it came out. And then I had bought his newer collection of poetry, Above Ground, and gave it 5 stars. That was like in January, right, I think. And I loved it. So I went out and went searching for this one. None of my local bookstores had it, but the Barnes & Noble did. And so whenever I get in the mood for poetry, I definitely want to pick that up. This next one is kind of a stand-in for 2 books. So I went to a released event for Funny Story by Emily Henry. So when this book came out, they had like an event at the local bookstore where we got a signed copy of the book and we got to like play games related to Emily Henry books and just like hang out with other fans. It was really fun. And then since we were already like talking about, you know, contemporary romances and everybody was sharing like their favorite contemporary romances, I ended up picking up Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And this one is the 3rd in a series. I can't remember what the other books are called. I've read the other 2 though, and so hopefully when I'm in the mood for a contemporary romance, this one I should have read this summer because it has such summer vibes, obviously. So hopefully I don't end up waiting until summer to read this again, like wait a whole other 9 months, because I do think I would like to read this one more soon. So we'll see. Next time I pick up a contemporary romance, maybe it'll be that one. And then I have some books that my mom got me for my birthday. I have The Breaking Point by Daphne du Maurier. This is a collection of stories. Her stories are usually more like gothic, sometimes creepy. They always have like an unsettling type of vibe, so I'm excited about this one. This one has 8 different stories in it, and I looked and only one of them I have read, because the problem with her being like a classic author, so many of the collections kind of overlap each other. But luckily I've only read 1 of the 8 that are in here, so I'm excited. Maybe I should read this fall and kind of like take my time, dip into some more gothic, unsettling stories. And then another one that's kind of like a collection that my mom got me. This is a collection of essays by Natalie Haynes. This is Divine Might, Goddesses and Greek Myths. I had read her other collection like this that was called Pandora's Jar. And that one was like women in myths. And this one is specifically goddesses. She kind of focuses on the women's perspective in Greek mythology. And I think she's also like a professor, so all of her stuff is really academic, but at the same time, she's an interesting writer. So it's another one I'll probably take my time with since it's more essays. So that one I will hopefully get to at some point. And the last thing my mom got me was a knitting book. And this is Knit Shawls and Wraps in 1 Week by Marie Green. And I'm a beginner knitter. I just started like last spring, I think, knitting for the first time. And I didn't knit much over the summer because it just feels like a more not a summer hobby, because you have yarn all over you, and especially if you're knitting something big, it just feels like you want to be cuddled up and snuggled under your yarn. And so now that it's fall again, I am excited to try some of these. And it does say in 1 week. I'm not going to be able to knit a shawl in a week at my level, but these are like more easier patterns. That's why some other people can knit them in a week, but at least for me they'll be more beginner patterns. And then a book I got myself for my birthday was Atalanta by Jennifer Saint. And I just really like Jennifer Saint's books. I haven't read this one, and actually you'll see another Jennifer Saint book later on. So I really need to catch up because I've read 2 of her books, and then there's 2 other ones that I haven't read yet. And this is one of them. And she likes to focus on women in mythology once again. And I've liked her other 2 books. I did start this one a couple months ago, but I kind of got distracted. So I want to get back to this one. I think I like to focus on Greek mythology in the winter because it feels like something, myths just feel like something I'm going to cozy up by the fire and read. And then I have a mystery sci-fi. This is The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Kowal. I've never read anything by this author, but I know she's very popular, and this just sounded interesting, it being a sci-fi mystery. That's another one that I started as soon as I got it and then got distracted. So I want to get back to this. I did put this on my fall TBR, so hopefully I'll get back to this. And I like that our main character is also disabled, and so there's representation and all that. So I would like to get back and read that this fall. I also have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, and this is, I believe this is this is a Goose Girl retelling, and I'm going to do a video at some point where I read several Goose Girl retellings, and this one is really up there with one I want to read. So I don't know much about it other than the fact that it's a retelling. It's very thick, so I hope I enjoy it. I've had other friends that really liked it, so I hope I do too. I bought Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I've been putting off reading this book because I DNF'd the Shadow and Bone series. I got 1.5 books in and I just was not interested. Like the first book, I think I gave 3 stars. I get halfway through the second book and I'm like, I'm just not interested in this story and this world necessarily, except when I watched the show Shadow and Bone, and they combined both the Shadow and Bone series and the Six of Crows series. I really loved the Six of Crows. Those were the parts of the show that I really wanted to watch. So I was like, well, maybe I will like this, because even though it's in the same world, it's a much different vibe, much different group of characters. So I went ahead and picked up Six of Crows, and hopefully I will like it since I like that part of the show. And then another one that I got for myself, I think these were all right around my birthday, this kind of group that I got for myself, and I got Amber and Clay by Laura Amy Schlitz. And this is a young adult, there's a young adult? No, I think it's middle grade, that is kind of taking place in, is it ancient Greece or ancient Rome? I don't know, one of those. And one of the characters is regular prose, and then the other one is written in verse. And I've heard good things about it. So when I get in my mythology mood in the winter, I would like to pick that one up. And the last one I got for myself for my birthday was The Door by the Staircase by Catherine Marsh. And this is a Baba Yaga retelling. And if you watched my fall TBR, I plan on doing some reading of Baba Yaga retellings, which is why I picked this one up. All right, and then I said earlier there would be another Jennifer Saint on this one. This is Hera by Jennifer Saint. This is the most recent one that just came out a couple months ago, and I bought it from Blackwell's because this cover is so beautiful and shiny, and so I'm excited to get to some obviously I'm buying all the myth books, but then not wanting to read them right now, so hopefully I will get to that point where I want to read a bunch of mythology books in a row. A book that I actually have read that I bought recently, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is a really popular book that came out this year. It's a literary thriller. I just talked about it in my wrap-up, so if you want to know more about it, go there. Several timelines, mostly taking place in the 60s and the 70s, and I enjoyed it. Okay, this next book is from Thrift Books. It's The Way Past Winter by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And I wasn't planning on getting this, but my husband was ordering something from Thrift Books, and he's like, oh, I need some more to get free shipping or something like that. I don't know. He was just like, do you want to add more to this? And I was like, sure, I'll buy something. And I've just read a couple other books by this author and enjoyed them. And so I actually don't know much about what this is about, but I have liked her middle grade books in the past. And this is one of her middle grades, so I'm excited about that. And I'm assuming when it gets to wintry time and I want this beautiful cover, I'll pick that up. And then I talked earlier about Baba Yaga retellings. I picked up one from my local bookstore. This is Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. And I don't know anything about it other than it's a Baba Yaga retelling. So when I get around to reading those for that video, I'll pick this up. And then that same time that I picked that one up from my local bookstore, I saw this book, How Far the Light Reaches, A Life in 10 Sea Creatures by Sabrina Imbler. And I just heard them talking about this on Currently Reading right before I went to the bookstore, and so I had to pick it up. And this is a memoir as well as, not short stories, essays combined, memoir and essays. So it's the author talking about their life through talking about sea creatures, and I think they're a marine biologist or something like that. So it sounded interesting when they were talking about it on Currently Reading, so I wanted to pick it up. And then the last 3 books I just received this week. So these are all ones I just bought recently. I bought them from Blackwell's because I wanted the British cover of all of these. So first I have The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Fueko. I've been waiting patiently for this book to come out this year because I really loved her Ray Bear series. I had read that, I don't know, was that a couple years ago? And so I've been excited. I have no idea what this is about, but I've heard it's set in the same world as the Ray Bear duology, so I'm excited. And look at this gorgeous cover. I mean, the US cover is pretty too, but that one's nice and sparkly. And then the other one that is like, this one's a continuation in a series. I had read Threads That Bind. I think I read it around like May. And then was waiting for this one to come out. I think it came out sometime over the summer. This is Hearts That Cut by Kika Hatsupoulou. And this is based off of Greek mythology, and it's like fantasy, and it's a lot of fun. I really liked the first book in the series, and I think this is just a duology. At least I hope it's just duology, and I get to see the conclusion of the series. And then, whoop, I almost dropped that. And then the last one I got was A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I have heard people raving about this, and I really want it, but the US copy is just so expensive to buy the hardcover, and almost all of my other T. Kingfisher books are paperback, so that's why I ended up buying this one from the UK, so that I could get the paperback, and I could get it for cheaper, and I could read it right now instead of waiting for like the US paperback to come. And this one is this a retelling of The Goose Girl? I think so. So this one and Little Thieves I can read together when I'm reading like Goose Girl retellings and see how close it is to the original. And I just love all of T. Kingfisher's books, and especially her retellings. And that's it. Those are all the books that I have purchased or received as gifts in the last 6 months. If you have read any of these and want to talk about them and get me excited and hyped to read them, because I do want to be reading my books that I have purchased recently. So get me excited about some of these books if you have read them and liked them, and I'll see you next time. Bye.